What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some extremely British words. I am constantly amazed at how many British words, phrases, slang, idioms, expressions, whatever you want to call it, that there actually are. There are endless. And that's actually one of the most cool, beautiful differences between our two cultures, I think. The way we say stuff differently. It's kind of amazing. And the amount of different ways Brits have to say stuff, I'm honestly jealous of it. And today I'm excited to kind of expand my vocabulary a bit with these 19 extremely very British words. So let's take a look.
Word number one, oi. Oi.
Oi? Oi? That's funny because it's like almost not a word in a way. This is so British. I have not even thought about oi. I've heard it before though. I guess in like British TV or movies, or it's a very exaggerated. What is it even? It's not. Is it a word? O-I. What does it mean? It's very British. This is perfect.
Oi. It's an interjection. It's more than a word. It's an interjection. We use
Interjection. Oi. When do you use this? Oi. I don't even know the proper way to use this.
to get someone's attention or to show an expression of annoyance or frustration. It's a
That's what I know it more for, like annoyance, like oi, or to get someone's attention, like oi. Is that almost comes across as rude here in America? That would be incredibly rude to be like oi, although no one would even know what you're talking about. They just think you have some kind of problem or medical condition if you're like oi in America. I guess the equivalent in the United States, like for us, might be hey, or like hey, yeah, hey, like just like a noise, I guess. But none of it is as satisfying as oi. I love it.
Faceted word. You can use it in lots of different ways. So, an example sentence. Oi, Dave, do you want a cup of tea? Oi, Dave, do you want a cup of tea?
Okay.
So, oi there is trying to get his attention. Really?
Yeah, that's not even rude. That's like, I thought you had to use this kind of aggressively. Like, oi, Dave, come over here. Like, you can just use it casually. Like, oi, Dave, you want to get a cup of tea? Okay, I get it. Okay.
A really British sounding word. And in fact, your homework today is to go and use it on someone. Oi, oi, come here.
Oh.
Okay, number 2. Could this be more British? In it. That's right.
Oh my God, this is the best list ever. These really are the most British words ever. All of these have been buried deep in my mind. I've heard this somewhere. In it. Like on the internet, listening to British people. Oh my gosh, yeah, there's nothing. It's a contraction. What does this mean? It means, isn't it? In it. Oh my gosh, that is so British. We don't say anything like that in the United States, although we have our own contractions, I guess, or we at least use contractions. But nothing as satisfying as in it. Oi, in it. Wow.
In it. I love this one. I know a lot of people don't love it. I think it's great. Now, what does it mean? Well, it means isn't it?
Right.
Isn't it? So we'd use it in a question tag. So you put the statement and then you add a question tag at the end. So for example, Paris is an amazing city, isn't it?
Right.
That's the question tag, yeah?
Isn't it?
Paris is an amazing city, isn't it?
No one has time to say isn't it. No one has time for that. Save time, isn't it? Paris is amazing, isn't it? It actually is kind of satisfying to say. It's not. I don't think if you did this in the United States as an American with an American accent, like standard American accent, people would just look at you strange and be like, what? But somehow when it's a British accent or a Brit saying it, I actually have no trouble understanding. Maybe because the context is usually pretty clear. Like, oh, that's the best pastry shop in town, isn't it? And it sounds enough like the word. I love it. Isn't it?
But we've changed that over time, and now it's just in it.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
So Paris is an amazing city. In it.
Wow.
Okay. Now, it doesn't just have to be isn't it? We can use it for other things now. It could be any question tag. So, for example, you live in London, innit? You live in London, innit?
Whoa, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about all this. You can just use "innit" as a like generalized way of making something a question. You live in London, innit? That use case I did not know about. I probably, if it wasn't explained to me like this, I probably wouldn't know what you're saying. If you said that to me, you live in London, innit? I wouldn't have known what you were even saying. But if you like say it in the standard kind of way, isn't it? Like, isn't it the best place in town? That I understand. I just didn't know it had other ways of using this. How versatile.
Now, that should be you live in London, don't you?
Yeah.
Don't you would be the question tag. But
Right.
in modern grammar, people don't even bother with that. They just say innit.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Is this a pretty popular like contraction in Britain? Because I have actually heard this used, I don't know where, enough times in like videos or movies or TV that I've heard this before. So I guess it must be somewhat popular.
now, I would normally say that this is quite a young word.
Okay.
But I use it, and I'm not that young, so yeah.
Okay.
It's up to you. If you want to use it, you go for it.
Wow.
Oh, this is a good one. Kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle? Kerfuffle? Somehow this is so bizarre. These are really, really British words, and I think because of that, they pop up in British media and stuff, British content. I've heard people say "oi," I've heard "in it," and somewhere along the line, I've heard "kerfuffle." I'm not exactly sure what kerfuffle is supposed to mean. It's a very funny word, but maybe I can have that explained to me.
Kerfuffle. Say that with me. Kerfuffle. This might be
Kerfuffle.
one of my favourite words of all time.
Yeah.
It's a noun, and it means like a commotion or a
Right.
fuss. Usually
Right, a commotion or a fuss or a scuffle, kerfuffle. This is almost, I almost want to say sometimes Americans say this word very, very rarely. But if someone had said to me, now that I hear it in context, it's almost familiar to me, but it's definitely not very American. It's almost as like a joke or something, like, oh, they got into a big kerfuffle last night. And I would understand what you meant. But this this is definitely a British thing that maybe Americans have kind of used here and there.
caused by people that disagree. They have a different opinion about something.
Yeah.
Now, it could be a kind of physical commotion, like a bit of pushing or
Right.
just noise, debating, that kind of thing. So, example
Right.
sentence. There was a kerfuffle outside the court. There was a kerfuffle outside the court.
Right.
So if you can imagine,
Yeah, using it in a sentence, it makes sense. Kind of like in it and oi, kerfuffle. These are, I'll say it again, these are the most fantastic British words. I love these.
like two sides, two groups of people who have different opinions, kind of shouting at each other or
Right.
pushing or whatever, is a kerfuffle. It's not a fight.
Right.
It's a kerfuffle. Number 4, gone off. Gone off.
Go off. Gone off. This is an expression or a phrase that kind of exists in the United States. If you asked me what go off means, it's a very like I want to say a pretty young slang term in America to mean like to go off on someone, to explode, to not yell, but kind of aggressively say something passionately. Go off on them. Like it's almost like it can be a bad thing, but it can also be a positive thing. Like if someone's very passionate about explaining a topic, someone will be like, "Oh yeah, go off, man." Like it's almost like kind of trying to hype them up. Go off. But I don't know if that's how Brits use it.
This means expired food. So,
Oh.
for example, my
No, it is not at all how Brits use it. Go off or gone off. Like a food that's gone off. Like that bread is gonna go off in a week. We better eat it. Is that Is that kind of how you use it?
My mum, when we were kids, she gave us pasta that was 8 years old.
Oh.
8 years old. It had expired 8 years before the date that we were eating it.
Oh my God.
So we were eating it and we were like, Mum, this pasta's gone off.
Okay.
It was horrific.
The pasta, excuse me, not pasta, the pasta has gone off. Okay, I've never heard that before. I've never heard gone off. I didn't know that that was a British word or expression. This is a good one I've not heard of.
Anything could go off, right? Like milk, a great example.
Right,
eggs, cheese, things like that. This is the
Right. In America, we just say it's expired. We might say that it's gone bad, but not gone off. But it kind of makes sense in a way. Off is kind of like bad, and I get it. Cool.
right, like milk, a great example. Eggs, cheese, things like that. This is the British word for siesta. We all know the word siesta, and of course we use the word siesta in Britain, but we have our
Siesta? No, I don't. Wait, no, I don't know what siesta means. Why he's talking like the prerequisite is that you have to know what a siesta is, and I don't, and I feel a little embarrassed and insecure. Oh, I gotta Google it. Siesta? What's a siesta? Oh, it's spelled with an S. Siesta is a afternoon rest or nap, especially during the hottest hours of the day. I have never heard of a siesta. Is that a British thing as well? An afternoon nap. Okay, so now that I know that, now I can understand what a kip is. Is a kip a nap? I think I'm following along here, maybe.
siesta. We all know the word siesta, and of course we use the word siesta in Britain, but we have
Oh yeah, for sure. We all know what siesta is. Yeah, who doesn't know what a siesta is? Psh, come on.
our own word, kip. It means sleep. Sleep could be a noun or it could be a verb.
It does mean sleep. So siesta, as we all know for sure, is a nap, sometimes during the hot hours of the day, apparently. And kip is a informal word for sleep. Never heard this. Is it different than a nap? A kip?
So for example, I'm going to get some kip before we go out tonight. I'm going to get some kip before we go out tonight. So
I'm gonna get some kip. Not even I'm gonna take a kip. Like take a nap. I'm gonna have a nap. You don't even have a kip. You take some kip? Or...
for example, I'm going to get
No, you get some kip. Excuse me, I can't even keep this straight.
some kip before we go out tonight. I'm going to get some kip before we go out tonight. So I'm going to have a little snooze, a little siesta
Okay.
before we go out tonight.
Oh, a kip means you're gonna have a little siesta. They're very related. Are they interchangeable? Well, okay, I think I've gone from completely not understanding what's going on at all to having some kind of grasp on what these words mean. It's fascinating how there's just so many British words that I have never heard of. It's almost like another language sometimes, I swear. How do Brits remember all this stuff? There's just so many things I've literally never heard of. It's fantastic.
Now, our favourite sport in Britain is, of course, football, and we shorten that down to footy. So if
Footy. Now this makes sense. Footy, short for football. No one has time to say, isn't it? So we gotta say, isn't it? And no one's got time to say football either. We gotta say footy. Isn't it footy? You could even say them together. It's great.
if you want to sound really local, then you could just call it footy. So example
Footy.
sentence. I play footy every week with my mates.
Okay.
I play footy every week with my mates.
We don't say footy here, obviously. We don't even say football. We say soccer. Americans are the total opposite of a country that would even say footy. But I have to say, I really like the word footy. It's very fun, very playful. Footy. Let's play some footy.
So football, footy is the same thing.
Okay.
Busker. Busker.
Busker. Busker. I've heard this word. I would even go as far as to say this is a normal American word. This is the first time ever in any of these videos, I feel like, that this is just straight up both a British and American word. Busk. To busk means to go on the street and perform for money. That's what a busker is. Yeah, Yeah, this is the same. A street musician. Right, right.
Busker is a street musician. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's someone that plays music in the streets. They put out a little cap or a little bucket, and you give them money if
Yeah.
you like what they're doing. So
Yeah, I think this isn't the most common word ever in the United States, but I've definitely heard this word before. I think I understand what busker means, even without him explaining it to me for once.
busker. An example sentence: the best buskers in London are in Covent Garden.
Ah.
The best buskers in London are in Covent Garden.
Wow.
Here's a nice phrase: horses for courses.
Horses for courses. Okay, we go from busker, or I feel like I know what's going on for once. I understand. And now we're back to horses for courses. What am I supposed to, how am I supposed to respond to this? If you're hearing this for the very first time in your life, what on earth would you think horses for courses means? Horses for courses. Does it have something to do with education? A course on... I got nothing. I can't even guess what this means.
This is a proverb, and it means kind of different people like different things. So, for example,
Horses for courses. Different people like different things. I feel like there's expressions like this in the United States as well. Different strokes for different folks is something that comes to mind. We have some proverbs that are like different people like different things. Yeah, okay. That horses for courses, though. I was about to say that doesn't make any sense, but then again, I don't think any of the proverbs, like even different strokes for different folks, that doesn't really make sense, so I can't talk.
some people love to work by themselves, some people like to work in groups.
Right.
It's horses for courses. It's a perfect way to say that some people like one thing and other people like another thing. And
I genuinely can say I've never heard this, but this kind of expression is very common, saying that, oh, different people enjoy different things, and that's just what it means to be human in a society. People like different stuff, and there's a lot of expressions around that idea. Never heard of horses for courses, but I do like it.
that's okay. People are different. Now we're getting super British. Builder's tea.
Builder's tea? Builder's tea. I feel like I've heard this somewhere along the line, maybe in a previous video even. Builder's tea! I swear I've heard this one. Builder's tea, but there's no way, just at face value. What is builder's tea? Is it just a good cup of tea? I feel like I should know this one. I feel like I learned this one. Have I learned nothing? Has nothing? Okay, what is it?
This is strong tea, okay?
It's a strong cup of tea. That's right, it's a strong cup of tea. Dang it, it's just because tea is not a part of American day-to-day life. It's not a part of our culture on any level. Tea. So I'd never remember the British word for a strong cup of tea. Now I might. Now that I've made a big song and dance out of this whole thing, maybe my brain will be traumatized enough that I'll remember builder's tea. Builders, they're strong and tough. Strong cup of tea. Okay, got
So
it.
not a lot of milk. We're talking about English breakfast tea, right? So
Oh, not a lot of milk. That's the point. That's what makes it strong tea, is the absence of milk, the ratios. All right, a little scientific. I gotta remember that as well. Okay.
you got your black tea with milk and sugar, usually, depends.
Okay.
But builder's tea is strong English tea. So
Right.
example sentence?
Do Brits enjoy builder's tea? I imagine, just based on how I drink my coffee, Americans are obsessed with coffee. Probably kind of like tea in Britain. And we all put a boatload of sugar and cream in our coffee. And I feel like in another universe, I would do that for tea as well. British version of me would do that for tea. So I probably wouldn't have a builder's tea. Is that a common way of having it? Or is it so uncommon or unique? That's why there's a whole word for it.
Oh, I'd love a cup of builders right now. I'd love a cup of builders right now.
Builders. Oh, you don't even need the tea. A cup of builders. Give me a cup of builders. Oh man, makes you feel tough. Just saying it.
I'd love a cup of builder's tea. I'd love a cup of strong tea. Now in
Yeah.
America, they have something called Main Street, and that is the principal
Yeah.
street in a town or in a city
Right.
with all the main shops.
Right.
Now in Britain, we call that the High Street.
Really? I did not know that. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, all American cities always have a main street. It's like the most iconic, biggest central street in the city or town, Main Street. There's an equivalent in Britain, except it's High Street. High is cool. Like, makes me think of like Game of Thrones, the high table, or the high. High is another way of saying like important. So it makes sense to me, just logically. Main Street, High Street. Interesting. I didn't know that.
High street. So you have a high street in every town and city in Britain. Now, an example sentence, you'll find a Primark on every high street in the UK.
Oh, it's actually really good that this was explained because in a sentence, if an American heard, you'll find a Primark. I don't know what a Primark is, but if you find one, you'll find one on every high street in the UK. If I heard that, I would think you're talking about a street that is high up on a hill or a mountain, like a high up street, high street. Now I know. Now I understand. Silly me.
You'll find a Primark on every high street in the UK. Well, more or less.
Wow, it's very satisfying learning about these things. I feel more educated by the second, but honestly, we are only halfway done with this whole video. I'm really, really enjoying it. This is like amazing. Just the most British words I've ever heard all at once. Most of them I've never heard of ever before, and that's really enjoyable. Just experiencing them for the first time and guessing what they are and being wrong. But I think I'm going to stop here for now and continue the rest of this in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this video so far, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in part 2 of this or more videos in general like this, me reacting to British culture and stuff about Britain I have never learned before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.